Time for a use-up meal, and today the use-up meal suggested by the Wheel of Food is bruschetta, not bruschetta. I had a whole thing in the Food Network where every chef said bruschetta for a whole week, so I'm like, okay, I'm getting the message here. So, bruschetta, and let's see what we got to make bruschetta with. So, I have cilantro leaves, and whenever you have cilantro, any herb, a soft herb like this one left over, you can always turn that into a pesto, into a chimichurri. You can saute it with rice and make a green rice. Those are some of my favorite things to do. So I'm going to go for a pesto. So for that, I'll need garlic, and I'll need some Parmesan cheese. I'll need some nuts. In this case, pine nuts is the most traditional, but you can use any nut, really. It's like you can use any herb. Now, I've never tried to use the cilantro stems in my pesto, but I think that should work just great. So I'm going to use the stems as well. This could also be done in scrambled eggs. It could be done again with rice, right? So there's so many things you can do with this. And once you have a pesto, you can put that on anything. You can use it instead of any condiment, mayonnaise. You can put it over any kind of meat. So turning it into a pesto has a lot of versatility. But what I'm going to do is turn it into a pesto, and then I'll just make some pesto crostini. Is that too simple? Maybe. But I do have some carrots, and maybe I'll add that on there as well. Bottom line, no, that's not too simple. All right, so in go my stems. And again, this is my new experiment. Never done stems before. I used to throw those away. I'm trying to throw away less stuff. In go my leaves. Okay. In go my garlic. I like to break it down a little bit first. It seems to just work better. And then in go. Now I keep these pine nuts. They, nuts go rancid, but they last a lot longer in the freezer. And pine nuts are pretty expensive, so I just keep these in the freezer, just for pesto. And I don't always use pine nuts. I often vary up what kind of nut I use. And I'm going to get that whizzing around, and then I'm going to add some olive oil. The cheese is going to be the last thing I do, and so just to incorporate that at the very end. So let's get this oil going. Nope, not yet. Let's get this whizzing around and broken down. So there it is before I put any oil or cheese in. I tasted it. I always taste everything, and of course I realized, I hadn't put in the salt and pepper yet. Always salt and pepper everything. So I'll add some of that. I'll add some pepper as well. But that's what it looks like before you put the oil in. And now I can add oil until it comes to the right consistency for my particular taste. People are always like, mine is too loose, mine is too tight. That's completely in your control. Start with no oil at all, and then add in oil until it's the way you like it. So I added just a few tablespoons of olive oil, and you can see the color has changed, the consistency has changed. It's still a very thick pesto, so if that's what you're looking for, you're good to go. If you want it to be a little more luxurious, maybe you'll add a little more oil. And of course, always taste as you go. Now that's where I want it. I add just a little bit more oil. Look at that. That's delicious. I'm not a huge fan of cilantro, but I keep using it, and I think I'm getting used to it. And it doesn't taste very cilantro-y in here. All right, now I'm just going to pulse in this Parmesan, and I think I'm all done. People ask me why I put the Parmesan in at the end. I first of all read about it, that was a technique, but I've tried it both ways, as I always do experimenting, and I find the texture is more interesting if you do it at the end. So I like doing it at the end. Oh yeah, that is delicious. Now I need some crostini. For my crostini, this was frozen French bread. I always cut it into 4 parts, so this is 1/4 of a French or Italian loaf. The rest is in the freezer still. Actually, there's only 1 piece left. So you notice I got 6 good pieces, and then I got all these scraps. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rub it all with garlic, even the scraps, because those are delicious. I'm not going to throw that away. Rub the whole thing with garlic, and then I'm going to put some white pepper. And just garlic and white pepper makes for a delicious crostini. You can literally just eat that, and it's so delicious. So the fact that I'm going to put some of this crazy great, cilantro pesto on there, and possibly maybe a little bit of shredded carrot or something, even just the pesto and one of these white pepper garlic crostinis are just going to be yummy. So is that enough for a dinner? No, I'll have to put something on the side as well, like a vegetable. So I took a piece of garlic and I cut it a little bit on the bias so I had more surface area. I took one of the smallest pieces I had so that I could not waste my delicious garlic. But so all you do is take this and rub it on it. And it's amazing how just this rubbing action will get you a lot of garlicky flavor right into your crostini. White peppers next. But guys, how cool is this? Anytime you have leftover herbs, soft herbs especially, just as long as you have olive oil, some Parmesan cheese, and you can even use the kind that you sprinkle on Parmesan cheese and some nuts, salt, pepper. You can make yourself garlic, you can make yourself pesto every single time, and pesto just makes everything better. So, you know, it's really cool use up. Or a chimichurri, which is usually vinegar and onion based with some red pepper flake for heat. Or, you know, make a green rice. So never ever throw away an herb that's getting old. Just turn it into one of those three things and you're good to go. And then turn those things into better things. So I brushed them all with the garlic. And now before I do the pepper, because it won't stick as well, I'm going to brush these all with olive oil as well. And that'll tie everything together nicely. And yes, I did the little ones as well. So let me get these brushed with a little bit of olive oil. And then I'll put in the white pepper. And into the oven they go to get nice and brown and crispy. They're going to be so delicious. And again, make any crostini you want anytime with this simple little trick, and serve it with a side vegetable, and it's a fun little dinner and gives you practice making crostini. Like, win-win. And as always, guys, don't forget the salt. I'm not going to put black pepper on because I'm using the white pepper right now, but the salt definitely is a must-do on crostini and everything else I cook. So it doesn't have to be a lot, but that's a little bit will help. So on goes the white pepper. Oops, that was a lot. I don't care. I'm good with that. All right. And then the salt. And we are good to go. And if you're feeling a little adventurous, you can actually hit it with a little bit of red pepper flakes. So that'll give you a little bit of heat. Okay, this goes in the oven. Now, I've seen recommendations of 5 minutes, and I've seen them as high as 20 minutes to make your crostini. So I'm a little confused. You can also grill it, by the way. Delicious when you grill these. But I'm going to go ahead and bake them. I'm going to start them off for 5 minutes, and apparently 20 might be a thing. We'll find out as we go. I'll just check them as we go. Well, Martha Stewart, you did me dirty. She's the one who I saw who said 20 minutes. Look at this thing. It's destroyed. Some of these are okay, right? They look pretty nice. But to me, I'm suggesting I'm going to start with 5 minutes next time. I just walked away in a little bit of too much crust. So here are some of the scraps. By all means, eat one of those now. And you can see what, just how good this is just with the basic ingredient before you even put stuff on. I have these crinkle cut carrots, and a little side effect, if you take one that's kind of diagonal, like this one here, when you cut it, check out how cute those come out, right? Like they're like adorable. So I'm going to go ahead and assemble my crostini. I also have a little bit of horseradish in the fridge, so I think I'm going to incorporate a little of that as well. All right, just finishing up my side dish, which will just be some green beans, a touch of butter, a little salt and pepper, and my favorite umi plum vinegar. I just tried to ship some of this to my mother in Guatemala. Oh boy, was that an ordeal. Thank you to my sister for making that actually end up finally working. So there's it. I got my crostini. Also, I have a little bit, just a tiny bit of the pesto left. This, I can make a sandwich using pesto, a pesto sandwich. I can just spread it on toast. I can make scrambled eggs and put this over the eggs or fried eggs. I can combine all those ideas and make toast with pesto and egg. And, you know, either way, though, this is a tiny little bit. It'll be perfect for some little snack down the road. Okay, there we go. I got my cilantro, pesto, and horseradish and carrot crostini and a little side of green beans. And it's a perfect little meal. And what a great way to use up some cilantro. So now let's see how we did. So super crunchy. You might have heard that just now. I would suggest 5 minutes is a perfect crostini, not this 15 to 20 that I read on Martha Stewart's website. Maybe I'm doing something that she isn't doing. I think my oven was the same temperature, but who knows? She knows what she's doing, so what do I know? Anyway, I'll probably go 5 minutes in the future, but the flavor combination is great. A little bit of carrot for a pop of color. The horseradish, I'm so glad I have that little bit of heat. The cilantro pesto is just divine. And then a little side of green beans. I think I'll be happy till tomorrow. By the way, someone did ask me what the difference was between a crostini and a bruschetta. So I actually did make crostini today, not bruschetta. The difference, I found it hard to pin down when I did my research, but for me, the crostinis are crunchier and they're smaller. A bruschetta, they can be soft. Like I've been to some places where your bruschetta isn't even toasted at all. It's just bread. They tend to be bigger. They tend to be a little softer, a little less crispy. But otherwise, I think they're fairly interchangeable. But yeah, today I made a crostini, not a bruschetta. I want to make sure that's very clear to everybody. I'm doing crostini again today. A couple of improvements from last time. So one, I'm just drizzling the oil on instead of brushing it. I find that that's just easier than the brushing, and I don't have to clean the brush afterwards. I'm almost out of olive oil, as you can see here. So just drizzling it on, and then I rubbed actually both sides with garlic. So I did salt, white pepper, olive oil, and garlic on both sides. So I think that'll enhance the experience as well. And then also I'm doing the pepper correctly. I remember last time I had little clumps, so I just have to do it like that. And voila, we're good to go. So those are my enhancements. Oh, and I'm also going to only put it in for 5 minutes. And I tried one of these just as is, like this, and it's delicious. So it doesn't need to get like as crunchy as we saw. So I'll use the rest of my pesto up on this, and I'll be a happy camper. I had them all bunched together so that there would be less oil drippage through here. Now that they're all done, I'll space them apart, and I'll move this into my toaster oven. And 5 minutes to go. That's them after 5 minutes, and listen to that. They are perfect. I don't know what that other timing was, but this is exactly how I like my crostini. I made them into ovals. You can also make them into rounds. So now I don't have a whole lot of this left, but I have enough. And I told you these are delicious all by themselves without even putting any of that on. I'm going to forego the carrot today. It's just a little extra effort, and not a whole lot. It's pretty, but it's just me. Well, look what I did. I made it pretty for myself anyway. I realized I was setting a bad example when I said it's just me, so I didn't need to make it pretty, right? But my whole point is you should be cooking even for yourself all the time. Think about this. Crostini is about the easiest thing there is to make, and yet I messed it up. I burned it. I went too long. This time, it's perfect. And I learned to do both sides for extra flavor. That is the perfect crunch now. It's not falling apart. It's super delicious. There's no char. So, don't wait until you have a hot date to try to learn to cook things. Cook things all along, and then if you have a hot date, just figure out what was the best thing I made this month and pick that.